Welcome to the Panthers Sports Report presented by Milwaukee Brewing Company. Founded on the principles of crafting and creating beers using the best local ingredients. Make sure to visit them today at either one of their locations here in the Arena District or in the 3rd Ward. Hello, welcome to the Panthers Sports Report, a women's basketball edition. Matt Menzel alongside Panther women's basketball head coach Kyle Recklitz, now in her 9th season and a very unique 2020-21 campaign. And Coach, first of all, thanks a lot for your time. And, you know, you look at what this season has been, what it could be. I guess when you look at the fact we're playing basketball, how did you go about approaching this 2020-21 campaign?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the fact that we're playing basketball and we're also doing a show in the MKE Brewing Company. This is so cool. This is awesome. I don't know if you've taken a tour here yet, but you absolutely should. It was one of the highlights to one of my summers. So, but yes, this has been a crazy year. You know, we started off not having a postseason because we got shut down like right away in March, not really having a summer. The players came back for, I think, like 7 days. Lots of Zoom calls and, you know, unexpected, not knowing what's going to come. Like, we didn't know if they're going to have to even get to play games. So it's been a wild ride, but a fun one for sure.
Well, from a coaching standpoint, how have you maybe changed how you've gone about your business, knowing that, again, essentially these players are isolated within themselves, and that's about it?
Yeah, you know, we're bubbling as much as we can, and so far we've been really fortunate. You know, we've had one player through this whole time test positive, and fortunately she didn't get too sick, which was nice, and she was kind of isolated herself because she was on the injury list at the time, so it didn't shut down our whole program. So we've been really lucky in that sense, and we just keep reminding them that they'll have time in March and April, you know, late March and April to see their families, but to just try to commit to, you know, the rest of the season as much as we can, stay in this bubble.
When you talk about the success the team has had at staying healthy and staying on the court, I guess when you look back at the way things have gone, what do you attribute that to? What's been the key? Because the Panthers, knock on wood, have been one of the few teams in the Horizon League that's been fortunate enough not to be paused or affected by COVID-19.
Yeah, I just think it's their commitment to one another and just, you know, to the commitment to the program. I mean, they've really bought into wanting to have a successful season and wanting to be together. I think they also really like each other. You know, this team is exceptionally close. And so to be able to spend time with one another has not been a drag for them because they actually really get along. They enjoy each other's company. So I think that's a big part of it too. And then once we started winning kind of at the beginning of the season, I think that bred even more of that feeling of let's stay tight, let's figure this out because we want to work towards winning a championship.
When you talk about that, and it seems like too the mindset, or at least the mentality around this program is let's have fun, but also not take this for granted because, again, we are blessed to be able to see basketball again.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been so fun even just going to practice. I mean, we laugh every single day in practice. We joke around. We're playing competitive games, but there's so many moments that are unbasketball related that has been just pure joy. And I think it's a good release for them, you know, with the pressures of everything else that's going on in the world, just in terms of like the social injustice, the pandemic, you know, everything, to be able to have that time where they can just be themselves, relax, and be around people that they care about, I think has been just a huge like stress relief for them as well.
You talk about practice. How has practice maybe looked different from years past?
Well, we don't have any practice guys. So they've been constantly going at each other. And that's good. There's some goods to that. I think we're in better shape than we've ever been in because part of it is they don't really get many breaks during practice. But then you also have the wear and tear on the bodies as well. You know, we're hitting, you know, towards the end of the season and we really kind of miss our practice guys because it allows us to get off of our legs here and there with some of our deep minute players. So, you know, just varying practice times and what we can and can't do has been big, like I said, especially down this last stretch.
We talk about practices looking different. How about travel? How has travel been different this season?
Well, we miss our travel buddies. We miss you being on the road. We miss having Cody on the road. We don't travel managers. So Molly Hansen, our director of basketball ops, has really had to step up because it's just, she's doing a lot on her own. I know Kelly Clements, our trainer, has taken on a different role at times. I mean, we all really have. I mean, it's been fun even watching our players kind of pitch in a little bit here and there because they've never really had to do any of that stuff on the road. And now it's like, well, it's the freshmen and sophomores' turn to carry bags. I think they're going to appreciate our managers a little bit more when they are back and able to travel.
Well, from a Horizon League standpoint, a brand new format this season, playing the same team back-to-back days, same venue. What have been the pluses and maybe minuses of a new format like this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the plus is that our team only has to learn one team a week. It's the same scout. So they're really locked into the details of it. And, we have very high IQ players. That's one of the things that, we really pride ourselves on is understanding what other people's, tendencies are. And they're able to lock into that really well. I would say a negative is just the wear and tear on the bodies. I mean, it's tough to go from, playing one game and then less than 24 hours playing another, as well as the mental side of it. When you win that first game, it's a lot easier to come into the next game with a positive mindset. But if you lose that first one, to be able to flip the switch and have a different mentality going into the second game is really important.
So I'm guessing with that being said, you're not all that surprised by when you look at league results that there are a lot more sweeps than splits?
Absolutely. I mean, hands down, I just think it's a confidence factor. When you win one, it really builds that confidence to winning the other. So we put a lot of emphasis on the Friday night games. The Friday night games become really, really important.
How about playing an empty arena? You got the cardboard cutouts, perhaps in some gyms. You have the pumped-in crowd noise. But how has that been an adjustment?
It's been a big adjustment. I think we're pretty used to it now. But, in our gym, it's been fun. Molly created a kind of a dog section that's really kind of taken off. And so I could see my dog Faith there, her dog Rolo's there, all of our players' pets. We've got a bunny and a cat, I think, as well. So it's fun to see that and to see our players, faces light up when they get to see their cutouts. But it's quiet, and you got to really bring your own energy. Obviously we call that Benergy, our bench energy. And we feel like we're pretty good at that. But one interesting thing is now we can hear the other coaches a lot more. And some of them say some very interesting things during games.
I want to wrap it up by, just talking to, okay, you look at non-conference play. Only 4 non-conference games this season. How did that maybe expedite the process of preparing for league play?
Yeah, and the crazy part was we had a non-conference schedule that was set, and then it just got thrown out the window. So it was like, hey, you want to come play? It'd be 3 days before the game. It'd be like, yeah, let's sign a contract. Let's do this. It was a roller coaster just trying to get games scheduled and trying to figure out the timing of everything. But, we felt like we scheduled a pretty tough non-conference. Having a MAC team, a Missouri Valley team, actually 2 MAC teams, Missouri Valley team and a Big East team was a challenge for sure. But it was tight, and it allowed us to get a few games in before we were able to play conference. I know that there were some teams in our league that didn't get that, and I think that's really unfortunate because you're going kind of blind into the conference season then.
When we come back, we'll talk about the who's who on this 2020-21 roster. You're tuned into the Panthers Sports Report presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company.
UW-Milwaukee was my first choice because it has a top business school.
Because I wanted to go to a diverse campus with supportive resources.
Because of its leading engineering school.
Because they connect students with internships at Fortune 500 companies.
UWM was my first choice. They have strong programs for health professionals.
Because its green campus is helping me get involved in sustainability.
UW-Milwaukee was my first choice because they helped me discover my passion for public health. Make it yours.
Welcome back to the Panthers Sports Report presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company, along with Panther women's basketball head coach Kyle Recklitz. My name is Matt Menzel. We're talking about the 2020-21 season, a unique season, but a very talented group on the floor, a veteran group that includes a senior class of 5 after graduating, a very talented senior group. And let's start with the leadership. I know it seems like after games you and I talk often about, okay, the team hits a lull, you rely on that senior leadership to bring the team right back up, and they've certainly provided that leadership all season long.
Yeah, and it's neat. What's neat about it is they're all very different in how they lead. Brandy's kind of our passion leader. I like to call Bree our mother bear. She's kind of the one that's there, picking everybody up. Stavers is a quiet one, but when she speaks, it's so it comes out and you're like, whoa, that's mind blowing. That's exactly what we needed to hear. And then you've got Mick, who's the IQ one in the room. She's always coming at it from a totally different approach and can kind of just see things that we didn't even think about seeing.
Let's talk about the seniors a little more in depth and what they bring to the table, because Brandy Bisping, who recently surpassed 500 career rebounds, becoming the 27th player in the program's now 50 season history to do so. But she had a breakout junior campaign, and it seems like she's stepping up even more so now as a senior.
Yeah, and I think she's taken even huge steps here towards the end. of conference. I think it was a big change. When you add Megan Walstad to the lineup, her role changed a little bit, because Megan's taking quite a few shots. She's got great touch around the basket. Brandy has become not just a scorer, but an assist giver as well. I mean, she is one of our best passers. And she's doing such a great job of, getting Megan touches when she needs to, but then taking over when she needs to. And lately, I mean, she's been our rebounder. I mean, the last, I think, 4 or 5 games has been having these 13 game rebounding performances. So it's been really fun. I'm so proud of her. I'm happy that she was able to get to 500, especially on a big rebounding game, not like on a small one. So just wish we could have gotten that win for her that night too.
Right now, Brandy is the team's active leader in points, rebounds, and games played. You talk about Mother Bear, Bree Sierra, and she has been one of the leaders, especially it starts for her on defense.
Absolutely. She always is tasked with guarding the other team's best player from the start of the game. We trust her with that role. She's so committed and takes so much pride in the defensive side. It's really awesome to see. What people don't realize is how good of a scorer she is too. I mean, she just doesn't take bad shots. So you don't see these like high level numbers from her. She's so solid, probably our most consistent player from top to bottom, and somebody that we just definitely need to have on the court.
How neat is it for Bree to get the opportunity to once again play with her sister Angie, a freshman on the roster?
That's been really nice. Like I actually have some things clipped where, Angie's passing to Bree for an assist or Bree's passing to Angie, and they didn't get to play together in high school.
Sure.
So this is kind of their first time, and it's just really awesome to see them out on the court together. They're both toughness players, and we need both of them this season in order to be successful.
You talk about your point guard, Michaela Schmelzer, who currently is the team's active leader in assists, steals, and games started. This is her first year focused simply on basketball, not trying to juggle both soccer and basketball. What kind of an impact has that had on her game?
Yeah, I mean, it's I really, again, wish we would have been able to have a postseason in the summer because it was the first time she was going to be able to fully participate, and we're hoping she gets an opportunity to come back for one more year because we really think that she could even take another step into her game. But she's such a leader for us on the court. I really do see her as an extension of our coaching staff. There's a lot of times, during free throws, the point guards always come over and talk to me, and she's telling me things on the court like we should look to run this play, or let's get the ball to this person, or what do we do about this situation? I mean, she's just so high level IQ. It's really fun to coach her, and it's been nice to see her scoring pick up a little bit more this year because we think she's a dynamic scorer as well as a defender and playmaker.
And you've said to me that, at least in practice, hopefully this continues to translate into game action, she might be, if not the best three-point shooter on this team.
I do think she is. I mean, we do shooting workouts, and she has the highest numbers. We do like a 5-minute 3 drill, and she'll knock down 50, 60 threes in 5 minutes. So for her, it just comes down to like a confidence thing, and not even just confidence, but understanding that your role can shift from one year to the next. I think Mick has probably played the most minutes out of any person that I've had in our program because, she started even when she was a freshman here after sitting a year under Sierra Ford Washington. So she had a great learning experience then, and then she just kind of built her career after that.
Then you have Sydney Staver. I know she's been hit at times by injury, but man, when she's out there, she's got the ability to take over games. And we talk about three-point shooting. I know that was kind of a question mark coming in with some great three-point shooters lost to graduation. Right now, Staver is your leader when it comes to three-point makes.
Oh, she is so capable of scoring. It's crazy. We really think she's one of the best scoring guards in the league. And she has this ability to play both the 3 and the 4 because of her size. So if they want to put somebody small on her, we're going to post them up. If they want to put somebody bigger on her, we're going to take them off the dribble. She's just so dynamic. I know that when we're sitting there before games and we're talking about what sets do we need to have and all that kind of stuff, it's consistently well, let's make sure we get her this many touches in the first 5 minutes of the game because she's just such a capable scorer.
Now the 5th senior, a newbie, Michaela Santoro, a transfer from Winthrop. What does she bring? I know certainly she brings the intensity from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, she's like a little Energizer bunny. Literally, it's like you plug batteries. She's got those everlasting batteries inside of her. I mean, she's so fast. Sometimes I watch her feet and they're just like.
Just keeps going and going.
They just keep going. It's really cool how she's just so quick. She has abilities to transform not only our defense, but the offensive side. Our pace has picked up so much this year because of Q. She runs her lanes. We're able to get the ball up to her and she's able to create off the dribble. It was awesome to see in her very first game of the season, her to put 16 on the board so that everybody knows she can be a scorer. She just doesn't always have to lock into that role for us.
Boy, what a luxury to have have Megan Walstad back after she missed last season with injury. You brought her up in referencing Brandy Bisping, nice 1-2 combo. Shades of Jenny Linder and Steph Kostowitz all over again.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we've had double rebounding games from both of them at times, double point games from both of them at times. You know, Megan is just a finisher. You know, she has great footwork. You know, her family did a great job of getting her that training early on in life because her pivoting, her ability to switch if somebody cuts her off and switch it into like a step through move or a spin back is really unreal. I mean, she's just got such, and I think she's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot more time with her and a lot more opportunities to continue to build her and get her better.
It's fun to watch that post position too because we talk about Bisping, we talk about Walstad, but then you have Emma Whitmerhouse who has come on even more so now, and you look at Macy McGlone, who has not played a ton, but she's made the most of her minutes.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, our post position is so deep. I even had to pull Macy aside the other day and let her know, like, it's nothing that you've done. It's the fact that Brandy was playing so well, we couldn't take her off the court because it's just, she's so capable. And I just keep telling her to stay positive because her time is coming. And Emma is finally showing that she's ready to step onto the big stage. I mean, I really do think Emma could be in the starting lineup, you know, I mean, at a lot of programs. So we're fortunate to have a player like her coming off the bench and a player like, you know, Macy with her athleticism to be able to come in and provide really quality defensive and offensive minutes for us.
The final player I want to bring up, and I want to bring it up because it's a unique story, is a redshirt freshman at Leor Halevi. Now, she's from Israel, only the second internationally born player to play for this women's basketball program. She's a transfer, granted a waiver, getting the opportunity to play here a little bit here this season. What is her background? What is her story? What does she bring to the Panther women's basketball team?
Yeah, well, she brings a maturity for one. You know, Leor is a little older than a lot of our, you know, other younger players. And so she has a really great understanding of the game. She actually has the highest IQ on our team, like really understands basketball. And I think it's just the level that she's played at in Israel. But she really is going to be a player that is going to step in and play high level minutes for us in the future. Again, it's tough because you've got somebody like Brandy Bisping playing in front of you at that 4 spot, and she's just such a dominant, you know, force right now. It's tough to keep her off. You just can't keep her off the court. You got to have her on the court because she does so many good things for us. And so, you know, Leor's learning the system. She's getting extra workouts in, really putting a lot of time and energy into becoming the best player she possibly can be so that when it's her time, she is ready.
And she is so positive, energetic, and she is the number one cheerleader on that social Panther bench.
For sure.
When we come back, we'll talk about the way the season's played out to date as we continue our final segment coming up on the Panthers Sports Report presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company.
Joel Embiid is unhappy.
Like, really unhappy.
Because the internet keeps using not-so-amazing GIFs to react to his amazing highlights. Mountain Dew presents the Joel Embiid Deserves Better Reactions GIF Collection.
Now I'm so happy.
Welcome back to the Panthers Sports Report presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company, our third and final segment with Panther women's basketball head coach Kyle Recklitz. I'm Matt Menzel. What a season it's been so far for the Panther women's basketball squad, and it began the 50th season of program history with a challenging 4 non-conference game slate. And we touched on it a little bit during the first segment, the likes of Ball State, Bradley, Marquette, Bowling Green, and coming away with wins in 3 out of those 4 games. But you talk about a nice tone setter to a challenging Horizon League conference schedule.
Exactly. You know, I mean, it was a tough non-conference for sure. You know, when we scheduled it, it was, well, we're going to put them through the ringer and see where we're at. And I think it was really good for us, you know, to be able to go into very different styles of programs too, because they all played very different styles. And be able to make the adjustments that we needed to be successful, I think was really important because that's how our league is. I mean, from top to bottom, every team is very different.
I think what's neat too is, okay, coming into the season, put the stock in what you will, the preseason poll, but the Panthers were predicted 7th among 12 teams. That did not sit well, and the team has responded.
Yeah, it didn't. You know, I mean, it was, you know, when we got picked, you know, we thought people would really recognize what we had accomplished at the end of the conference season last year, where we had won 7 out of our last 8 games within conference. And so we were really hoping that, you know, people saw that. we weren't expecting to be picked number one. Don't get us wrong. I mean, there are some really great teams in our league, but we were even picked below some of the newer teams. And that was really for our players, especially our senior class, a little disheartening, and they wanted to prove something. And I think they've really stepped up and shown that they can compete with the top of the league.
I almost get the feeling, too, people forgot about Megan Walstad after that year out, and she's come back. She's been the Horizon League Player of the Week 3 times already. What a way to start Horizon League play, too. You go to the Crest Event Center, not an easy place to come away victorious. Not 1, but 2 wins for the Panthers. And what I like, too, is this is a Panther team that doesn't get too high, too low. It's almost a business-like approach, but certainly an exciting weekend up in Titletown.
Oh, yeah, that was big, especially to start conference off with our, state rival school. That was huge. And so, to have a team that could lock in like that, especially on the road, was a really big thing for us. And we were coming off of our first loss, at Bowling Green. So it was one of those, how are we going to make that adjustment? Are we going to be able to, come back from a mental side of things? And they did. They were so locked in from start to finish. And you're right, there wasn't a lot of highs and lows. It was very much like business, and we felt like we were going into the weekend 0-0, and we came out 2-0.
That Green Bay series began what was a program record tying 12-game winning streak. What stood out about that win streak to you?
Yeah, just how level-headed they stayed. They really stayed very hungry, very humble. There wasn't a lot of talk about the wins. It was really we got into a very good routine of how things, were going with each, what Monday looked like, what Tuesday looked like, and they really kind of bought into the routine and just stayed very level-headed through the whole thing.
Overall, a 15-1 start to the season, a program best. And I think what stood out in those 16 games and even beyond now is the defense and rebound. That's certainly been a story this season. Defensively, we've seen some man-to-man, we've seen some zone, even some press at times, which has caused teams fit.
Yeah, we've been able to mix it up. We do feel like we're probably the most athletic team that we've had since I've been here in terms of just from top to bottom on the roster. We have players that can get up on pressure a little bit more, players that can press. So we can kind of mix up our defensive philosophies depending on the opponent that we're playing.
I don't need to, we talk about, the preseason poll predicted 7th among 12, something to prove. Off to this 15-1 start, rightfully so, turning some heads. This is a team that received votes in both the AP and the Coaches National Top 25 rankings. First time that's happened in program history, and ranked as high as number 6 in the mid-major top 25. So again, starting to see some of that national attention.
Yeah, I think that was really great for the players. I think that they kind of deserved it based off of the start that we had. But again, we stayed very level-headed through it all and just kept reminding ourselves that we still had a lot of really great teams to play. We had knocked off some of the big ones, and, a lot of the attention came after we had beaten IUPUI twice at their place. But I could even see the fatigue starting to set in a little bit that coming week coming into NKU, and we were very curious how it was going to go from there on.
Can we talk about that IUPUI series? What a fun weekend that was in the jungle and playing from behind really in both games, but yet finding a way to pull away in both. You won on January 22nd and again on January 23rd. That January 23rd game, an epic matchup that would be decided in double overtime, but man, what physical, entertaining matchups.
Yeah, and it was really awesome to see different people step up throughout those games. Emma Whitmerhouse became huge. She was a huge factor in our success in Indiana. She was so focused, and I think her scoring percentage was off the charts. She had hit 3 threes in her career and hit 3 threes in that game. So it's just, having various people step up is the mark to a really good team, and it's a mark of a championship team. It wasn't like it was somebody that was necessarily on the scouting report as a heavy point getter person, and she really took over that weekend. So we had various people throughout that whole set of games step up at different moments and make really big plays.
Let's bring up the physicality, too. I know you and I have talked about this many times in the past, but this is a very physical league, and it seems like one week after the next, there are some great battles on the inside, and maybe in years past, the team would back down a little bit. Not this year. They're ready for that challenge, that physicality.
Oh, yeah. We say it's like a dogfight every game. It's every time another team is on defense, it's they're playing it like it's the last possession of the game. It's so tough. There's lots of people diving for loose balls, lots of charges being taken. Across the league, I just feel like it's improved so much from a defensive perspective.
Now, not to make excuses or anything, but let's talk a little bit about the league schedule. We talked a little bit about COVID-19 in segment number 1, and it is what it is. You can't control some of the outside factors, but some teams have played X amount of games. Others have played a full slate. How does that factor in when you look at a Panther team that's getting knocked around weekend after weekend, and maybe you play a team that hasn't played in 2 weeks or 4 weeks?
Well, I definitely think that hurt us in the NKU series. It was the first time I felt like all year that a team beat us up and down the court. And I hadn't seen that. I felt like we'd been in really great shape leading up to a lot of games, but that was our worst transition defensive game. I think a lot of that does come down to legs. Usually at this time of the year, everybody is like trying to, make sure that there's no injuries and sustaining legs, and because you're at that like kind of the meat of the season. And now it's like we're all in different places, and so there's that factor to weigh into. Like, do you have to play a little bit more zone in those games? So the strategic side of things comes into play too when you're talking about some teams have played 7 games or 8 games, and other teams have played 16.
Can we mention though, when you look at the Horizon League, it seems like even with COVID-19 in this era, what a conference, yet again, top heavy when you look at the likes of Wright State, Green Bay, Northern Kentucky, IUPUI. You got to throw Oakland, certainly Youngstown State, Cleveland State in that mix, but there is no, again, cupcake opponent.
No, there's no easy games. And, it's just like you have to go in every night feeling like you're 0-0 and you're playing the best team in the league. And we have done a really good job of that leading up to this point. So hopefully we can keep that rolling.
So let's wrap it up with this. If this team is to continue to make noise here down the stretch into the madness of March, what needs to happen?
We need to hit shots. I think that was a telltale the last 2 weekends. We've kind of struggled a little bit shooting from the floor. We've been actually making some really great plays. We're getting the right looks. We're just not putting the ball in the basket. And so spoke to the captains. They're really committed to getting the team back on track and getting them together. They're going to commit more time into the gym, which is really exciting that it's kind of coming from them and not coming from the coaching staff because they want to be successful. I think that's a really big part of it. And then we've just got to really lock into our defensive principles. No matter what, if you're not hitting shots, you can always play defense. And so having that heart and that pride on the defensive end can definitely help lead us towards a championship.
Well, great stuff as always, Coach. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. It's been great here inside the Milwaukee Brewing Company in the Arena District. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Panthers Sports Report presented by the Milwaukee Brewing Company.